Hello and welcome to this exploring session, and today we are looking at the marriage of wit and wisdom, or in a fuller title, the contract of a marriage between wit and wisdom, very fruitfully and mixed, full of pleasant mirth, as well for the beholders as the readers or hearers. Never before imprinted 1579, and generally it's thought that this play by Francis Merbury was written, produced somewhere around 1575, somewhere in the middle, a few years prior to its being printed. If you are getting a sense of deja vu with the title Marriage of Wit and Wisdom, that is because there are other plays with very similar titles. There are lots and lots of plays, some of which don't survive anymore, apart from their titles, which have very similar titles to this play. But there are also plays prior to this play which have very similar titles because they are very similar plays. And so we have previously already looked at a play, the play of Wit and Science, I think, off the top of my head. I actually don't have that written down, and because it's very confusing, I can't be certain. Anyway, we have looked at another play which came much earlier than this one. There's another play somewhere in between, which may have been based on the previous one, and so they may all have an interrelatedness. For the moment, don't worry about that. We are going to examine this play as if it is new minted and that we have never seen it before, and rattle through it with great pace and gusto. And to do so, I've assembled this fabulous team of readers who are going to be working through the text with me today. So, in no particular order, performing the role of idleness itself is
Aliki Chapple. Hi, I'm an actor, translator, writer, and occasionally theatre maker based in the UK, but from the US and Greece.
And battling idleness, perhaps, but who knows, we shall see. Wit is today played by...
Hello, I'm Pamela Flanagan. I'm an actor in London.
And reading a selection of roles, Wantonness and Mother B is...
Liza Graham, actor, singer, and Renaissance text coach in London.
And performing Nurture and Good Nurture and Lob is...
Hi, I'm Alan Scott, based in Suffolk, not an actor.
Performing Indulgence and Search is...
Hi, I'm Victoria, I'm an actor and I'm based in London.
Performing the Prologue and Wisdom is...
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Amisu. I'm an author based in Romford in Essex.
Performing Snatch and Fancy is...
I am Valentina, and I'm an Italian actor and voiceover artist in London.
And performing Severity and Irksomeness is...
Hi, I'm Alex Scott Fairley. I'm an actor from the Highlands of Scotland.
And finally, performing Catch and Doll is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good and I'm a historian.
And I am your host, Robert Crighton. I will be looking at some of the stage directions. We are, as ever, or as very occasionally, at the vicissitudes of the internet for our text, so there may be some errors that creep in more than usual. We shall see as we go. The play is advertised as actually doubling down to 6 actors, which we're not doing today because we just have more readers in the room, and that doubling scheme does seem to work. So there is an element of also thinking about how this is a very small company play. But without further ado, we're going to rattle on through the first few scenes. Enter the prologue, please.
Marks the common course of youthful wandering wits, shall see the most of them frequent where idleness still sits, and how the Irksomeness doth murder many a one, before that they to wisdom's sword the half-way yet have gone. Except good nurture do, with some severity, conduct them to Parnassus mount, well favoured with levity. But if it hap in fine that wit the mate be made, of wisdom such a worthy wife to follow godly trade, then shall you see whereon Dame virtue doth depend. Not all the world besides, forsooth, so meet a match commend. But else, if wit should wag and hap to wave awry, without them any rightful rule and reason's good supply, then fancy frames effects to bring his brain aboard, and show his ship in haven's mouth, ere it the seas have scored. Whereby you may perceive that wisdom is the right, that must conform a useful wit and bring it in good plight. The proof, the sequel, shows, for I have done my charge, and to the actors must give place to set it forth at large.
And so the exit of the prologue there. Enter Severity and his wife Indulgence and their son Wit.
My son, draw near, give ear to me, and mark the cause aright, for which I call thee to this place. Let all thy whole delight be still in serving God aright, and trading virtue's trace, and labour learning for to get, whilst thou hast time and space. I now have brought thee on the way the thing for to attain, which, son, if thou mightst hap to hit, will turn unto thy gain. Thou knowest how chargeable a thing thy learning is to me. Thou knowest also the care I take for to provide for thee. And now, since that thine age draw on to nature's riper state, my purpose is, and full intent, to find for thee a mate, with whom thou mayst dispend the rest of this thy life to come, and joy as I, thy father, have with this thy mother done.
Indeed, good husband, that were good we have no more but he. My heart, methinks, would be at rest him matched for to see. But yet, my dear Severity, be heedful for your life, that she be able for to live, that he shall take to wife.
Well, as for that I shall foresee, for why, I know right well, that she whom I do mean is rich, and highly doth excel. Wherefore, son Wit, mark well my tale. Dame Wisdom is the wight, whom you shall labour to espouse with all your main and might. And if that she will be your wife, look what I leave behind. You shall possess it full and whole according unto kind. But if you find some worser haunt, and hap to run by rote, I promise thee before these folk, thou'st never cost me groat.
Dear father, for your grave advice right humble thanks I give, intending to obey your charge so long as I shall live. Now, if that wit with wisdom may be linked fast in love, then wit shall think himself right blessed of God that sits above.
Well said, good wit, and hold thee there, I tell thee this before. Indulgence, when thou married art, hath butter pence in store.
Such pampering mothers do more harm than ever they can do good.
If you had felt the pain we feel, you then would change your mood.
You show that you the mother are of this the outward man, and not of mine, for if you were, you would be careful then, to give him counsel, how to use himself for to aspire to wisdom's friendships and her love, the which we do desire.
Alas, good sir, why hearken, wit, what counsel I can give? When as thou comest to wisdom's house, then mayst thou it approve. Take heed that thou art neat and fine, and go straight bolt upright, and cast a cheerful look on her, smiling at the first sight. And when thou comest to talk with her, forget not for to praise her house, herself, and all her things, and still be glad to please. Be diligent to do for her, be pleasant in her sight. Say as she saith, although that she do say the crow is white. And if she have mind to aught, although it cost red gold, provide it for her, and thou mayst be more welcome and more bold.
See, what counsel you can give, you show your nature plain. This counsel liketh wit right well, and maketh him ale too fain. But sirrah, if thou list to thrive, mark well what I shall say, that wisdom may become your wife, this is the ready way. Apply your book, and still beware of idleness, I say, for he a enemy hath been to virtue many a day. Beware of Irksomeness, I say, which is a monster fell, and near to Lady Wisdom's house doth always use to dwell. For he will have a fling at you, and so will idleness. Therefore, beware of these two folks, and God will sure you bless.
As duty doth require in me, I thank you humbly for these your fatherly precepts, and purpose earnestly for to observe that you command, and these my foes to watch, lest they perhaps, ere I beware, me in their snares should catch.
Well, yet before thee goest, hold, hear my blessing in a clout. Well fair the mother at a need stand to thy tackling stout.
Mother, I thank you heartily, and you, father, likewise, and both your blessings here I crave in this my enterprise.
God bless thee, wit, our son, and send thee good success.
I thank you both, and pray to God to send to you no less.
And exit Severity and Indulgence.
God grant this my purpose may come into good effect. Well, now I must about this gear, I must it not forget.
And exit Wit. We go into the next scene. Enter Idleness, the Vice.
Ah, sirrah, my masters, how fare you at this blessed day? What, I win all this company and come to see a play? What lackest thee, good fellow? Didst thee ne'er see man before? Here's our gazing. I'm the best man in the company, when there is no more. As for my properties, I'm sure you know them of old. I can eat till I sweat and work till I'm a cold. I'm always troubled with the lither lurden. I love so to linger. I'm so lazy the moss groweth an itch think on the top of my finger. But if you list to know my name, I whiz am too well known to some men. My name is Idleness, the flower of the frying pan. My mother had 2 whelps and 1 litter, both born in Lent. So we were both put into a muscle boat and came sailing in a sow's ear over the sea to Kent. My brother, Irksomeness, and I catch the dog being disposed to make merry. We got us both down to Harlowbury. But what is that to the purpose? Perhaps you would know. Give me leave but a little, and I will you show. My name is Idleness, as I told you before, and my mother, Ignorance, sent me hither. I pray thee, sirrah, what more? I'm a bit confused by that. Marry, my masters, she sent me the counterfeit crank for to play, and to lead wit, Severity's son, out of the way. He should mock a marriage with wisdom in all haste as they talk. Stay here a while. Soft fire makes sweet malt. I must be firm to bring him out of his brown study on this fashion. I will turn my name from idleness to honest recreation. And then I will bring him to be Mistress Wantonness man. And a faith, there he is, in for a beard, get out how he can. But, soft yet, my masters, who is within? Open the door and pull out the pin.
Wantonness entereth and saith.
What doll, I say, open the door, who is in the street? What, Mr. Idleness, lay a straw under your feet. I pray you, and may I ask you what wind brought you hither?
A little wind, I warrant you. I'm as light as any feather. But hark thee.
And whispers in his ear.
What? It is not so. Will he come indeed?
Nay, if I say the word, thou mayest believe as thy creed. But when he comes, you must be courteous, I tell you, and you shall find him as gentle as a falcon, every fool's fellow. What? Methinks you are with child.
Nay, my belly doth swell with eating of eggs.
Nay, by Saint Anne, I'm afraid it is a timpani with 2 legs. Away, get in.
And exit. Enter Wit.
My father, he hath charged me the thing to take in hand, which seems to me to be so hard it cannot well be scanned. For I have toiled in my book where wisdom much is praised, but she is so hard to find that I am nothing eased. I would I had been set to blow or to some other trade, and then I might some leisure find and better shift have made. But now I swink and sweat in vain, my labour hath no end, and moping in my study still, my youthful years I spend. Would God that I might hap to hit upon some good resort, some pleasant pastime for to find, and use some better sport.
Marry, no better. I am even as fit for that purpose as a rope for a thief, and you will be lusty. Cry, hey! Among knaves, I am the chief.
What good fellow art thou? What is thy name?
In faith, I am Ipse, he, even the very same. A man of great estimation in my own country. I was never stained but once, falling out of my mother's plum tree.
Thou art a merry fellow, and wise, and if thou keep thyself warm.
In faith, I have a mother wit, but I think no harm.
I pray thee, what is thy name? To me it declare.
Nay, I am no niggard of my name, for that I will not spare. Ha! By the mass, I could have told you even now what a short-brained villain am I. I am as wise as my mother's sow. Pray you, sir, what is my name? Can you not tell? Is there any here that knows where my godfather doth dwell? Gentlemen, if you will tarry while I go look, I am sure my name is in the church book.
I prithee come off, and tell me thy name with readiness.
Faith, if you will needs know, my name is Idleness.
Marry, fie on thee, knave, I mean not thy company.
Oh, what, because I spoke in jest? Will you take it so angrily? For my name is Honest Recreation. I let you well to wit, there is not in all the world a companion for you more fit.
And if thy name be Honest Recreation, thou art as welcome as any in this land.
Yea, marry is it.
Why then, give me thy hand.
In faith, I thank you. You are come of a gentle birth, and therefore I will bring you acquainted with a gentlewoman called Modest Mirth.
Yea, marry, with all my heart, and God have mercy.
Why then, come away, come, let us go.
And exit wit, enter wantonness.
Oh, God be here.
What, master? Honest recreation, I pray you draw near.
Nay, I pray you come hither. Come, I pray ye.
Ooh, I come.
Nay, but in any ways hide your belly.
It is a child of your getting.
Aye, it hath fathers at large. But here comes in wit, what is like to bear all the charge.
And enter wit returning.
Gentlemen, here is the gentlewoman. Kiss her, I say, I am a whoreson else. If I had known you would not have kissed her, I would have kissed her myself.
Gentlewoman, this shall be to desire you of more acquaintance.
Oh, sir, in aught I may pleasure you, I will give attendance. To have many suitors my lot doth befall, but yet methink I like you best of all.
Yea, she might have had many men of knavery and of stealth. Marry, you might have had many men of bravery and wealth. But yet methinks there cannot be a match more fit than between Mistress Modest Mirth and you, Master Wit.
That is well said.
Yea, and that will be a ready carriage to the rope.
What sayest thou?
That'll be a speedy marriage, I hope.
By my troth, I am so weary I must needs sit down. My legs will not hold me.
Then will I sit down by you, if I may be so bold.
Here is love, Sir Reverence. This gear is even fit. Oh, here is a head hath a counting house full of wit.
I am sure you are cunning in music, and therefore, if you please, sing us a song.
That will I, if it were for your ease.
And here shall Wantonness sing this song to the tune of Attend Thee, Go Play Thee. And having sung him asleep on her lap, let him snort. Well, I'll read that stage direction at the end of the song. You don't have to sing it, it's entirely up to you.
Yes, I haven't, I admit that I didn't download this in advance, so I haven't had time to revise the tune. But, so I'll just read it for the moment. Lie still, and here nest thee, good wit, lie and rest thee, and in my lap take thou thy sleep. Since idleness brought thee, and now I have caught thee, I charge thee let care away creep. So now that he sleeps full soundly, now purpose I roundly trick this pretty doddy, and make him a noddy, since he was unstable he now wears a bauble, since idleness led him away. And now of a scholar I'll make him a collier, since wantonness beareth the sway. Well, Now I have him changed. I needs must be ranging. I needs must go pack me, for my gossips will lack me.
And yes, and the very last line, it's very difficult to read in the manuscript precisely what that's supposed to be. Anyway, all during this song, you sing him asleep onto your lap and let him snort, and let her set a fool's bauble on his head and colouring his face, and idleness shall steal away his purse for him and go his ways. So that's been happening during the song. Enter good nature speaking thus.
Marvel where my scholar'd wit is now of late become a fearless with ill company he happened for to run. But I, good nurture, commonly among all men uncounted, but wit, by this straying so, I fear hath me renounced. Severity his father, sure is grave and wise withal, but yet his mother's pampering will bring his son to thrall.
And here he stayeth, stumbling at wit as he lieth asleep.
Why, how now? Oh, what wight is this, on whom we now have hit? Soft, we see, this same is he, yea truly this is wit.
And
What?
here he awaketh wit.
What, wit? I say, arise for shame. O God, where hast thou been? The company made thee a fool, that thou of late was in.
Here he riseth, rubbing his eyes and saying,
Oh, arrant strumpet that she was that ran me in this case.
Nay, rather thou art much to blame to be within such place.
Here wit washeth his face and taketh off the bauble.
Come on, I say, amend this gear. Beware of all temptation. Your weariness for to press. Take honest recreation.
And he delivereth him to honest recreation.
I thank you, Mr. Nurture, much for this your gentleness, and will do your commandments henceforth with willingness.
God grant you may. And sirrah, you will wait upon him still.
And exit Nurture.
I thank you, sir, with all my heart, for this your great goodwill. One journey more I mean to make. I think I was accursed. God grant the second time may be more happy than the first.
And I am going to pause there because there's lots of stuff to unpack, some of which is very, very clear. A couple of random things I'm much less clear about, but are no less interesting. Yes, as there's a lot going on here. Most of it's really quite engaging. Let's go all the way back to the top. So after a nice, fairly sequential prologue sort of explaining what's going on, we get this fascinating family unit of mother, father, Severity and Indulgence. It's awkwardly gendered, I think, from a modern perspective, but it is quite well drawn out in terms of their characters are very clear. I don't know how embarrassing they are as parents for you, Wit, but there is moments of that which is really nice, and I just love all the tips, the sort of it's not quite chat up tips from Indulgence there, but it's there's something like that, just agree with whatever they say, and it's really a fascinating sort of little opening gambit before the Vice comes in and starts changing things. So just any thoughts on that opening activity, or any other thoughts that are leaping out at you? Someone jump in or wave.
He's got his courting orders.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a really light touch to it, actually. I mean, yes, it's a lot of this is in 14ers again, which we haven't seen for a while. It seems a very late 15, 60s, 70s thing. Got fun from Liza. Are you saying things?
Only a few things. I do like the 14ers. You can see why it was the rhythm of comedy. It's dance-like a little bit. And then when we go into dialogue, the lines become sometimes the lines become shorter and it becomes more pacey. Idleness and Wantonness from what I remember of the last time we did a play on this subject, Idleness and Wantonness took quite a long time about it, and this time it feels much more pacey. I don't know whether it feels that way to others.
I won't comment on that at the moment. I'm going to bank that for a little later on. There's some lovely lines from Idleness that I absolutely love. I particularly like "I'm so lazy the moss groweth an inch thick on the top of my finger," like real life sloths that do actually have moss, and things growing on them because they don't move around enough for it to drop off. It has a wonderful image.
Good nurture
Mm.
has delivered wit to honest recreation, but it isn't honest recreation, it's idleness in disguise. Is that right?
I don't know. I was wondering whether that was another personified thing, whether he was handing him something, or I don't know. That's one of the questions I have about the end of that scene. Liza?
My feeling, which I don't really have anything to back up, but my feeling is that it's a non-speaking role who's maybe a boy who's a dancer, or a woman dancer even. You never know. And because Nurture then says, "You, Sarah, wait upon him still." So that indicates that he's talking to another person.
He's down as a character in the cast list, but I haven't given anyone good honest recreation because I didn't find any dialogue. So that would seem to back up that thought.
But
so
idleness is pretending to be honest recreation.
But I think Nurture's brought on the real one now that the game's over.
Okay.
It's an interesting question. Does Idleness forget his own name that he's pretending to have when he says, "I'm Idleness," or is it, or is there a bit of backtracking there immediately? That's a nice question of, we've had vices that forget who they are before, or who they're pretending to be.
I mean, I played it as I thought it, which is that he actually forgot. So that's kind of my interpretation.
Yeah. And when you were mentioning earlier, when you weren't sure about what was going on, I think during your speech, you're geeing the audience up to actually talk back at you.
I thought I might be, but then I got confused about that. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like you've gone, ignorance sent me hither. You want more? You want more?
Right.
That kind of thing. And that's one to play around with.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Wit has, in theory, has got a potential match, but he's been set up with Wantonness, as it were, here, who is possibly pregnant. It's or has an excuse to say she isn't pregnant, but probably is pregnant. And it's like they're setting them up. Once getting him asleep, basically paints his face with coal and just basically it's almost the equivalent of drawing a penis on somebody's face while they're drunk and asleep. It's sort of in that area.
I wonder if it would be coal or if it would be something red for drunkenness.
I was wondering that.
Well, it does say I'll make him a collier, so I'm assuming that it's essentially just a piece of black coal that they're using.
Maybe so.
And again, that's sort of a discussion for play comparison things that we may do a little later at this stage.
Probably makes it unacceptable in the present climate.
We did discuss this problem with other plays where actually it might be quite fun to make him more your face painting a clown's face on him or something like that.
I don't know if it's intended to racialize him or simply to make him look dirty.
Yeah.
He is a collier. I think that's the idea. It's just whether it reads that way for a modern audience, that is a genuine problem.
Well, if you do a couple of smudges, it'll read that way. I think. Yeah.
So yes, date number 1 goes bit weird for Wit. Probably not what Mummy and Daddy intended. Other thoughts before we move forward, because we do need to crack on our pace. Okay, next scene has the return of Idleness. So, Idleness, what's your next plan?
Ah, sirrah, it is an old proverb and a true, I swear by the rood. It is an ill wind that blows no man to good. When I had brought wit into wantonness hampering, then thought I it was time for me to be tempering. The cook is not so soon gone as the dog's head is in the porridge pot. Wit was not so soon asleep, but my hand was in his hose. Wantonness is a drab. For the nonce, she is an old rig, but as for me, my fingers are as good as a lime twig. Now I am new arrayed like a physician. Now, do I not pass? I am as ready to cog with Mr. Wit as ever I was. I am as very a turncoat as the weathercock of poles, for now I will call my name Do Disport, fit for all souls. Yea, so finely I can turn the cat in the pan. Now you shall hear how finely Master Doctor can play the outlandish man. Ah, by God, me be the doctor, me and the fine knave, I tell you, and have the good medicine for the maiden's belly. Me, I have the excellent medicine for the blains and blister. Ah, me am the knave to give the fair maid the glister. How you like this, my masters? The bee have no so many herbs whereout to suck honey, as I can find shifts whereby to get money.
Enter Snatch and Catch.
Soft a while, my masters. What have we here? These be crafty knaves, and therefore lie thou there.
And he lays down the purse in a corner, and the song that Snatch and Catch singeth together as they enter. I'm not going to make you sing it together. If Snatch would just like to read it, please.
Have been told in proverbs old, that soldiers suffer both hunger and cold, that soldiers suffer both hunger and cold. And this sing we will live by spoil will moil and toil, does snatch and catch doth keep a coil, and does live we, by snatching and catching does live we. We come from sea, from many a fray, to pilling and pulling every day, and does skip we, and over the hatches does skip we.
Hey, lively! By the guts of a crab louse, Snatch, this is an excellent sport. Now we are come from Flushing to the English port. There shall not a fat pouch come nodding by the way, but Snatch and Catch will desire him to stay.
Yeah, by the hogshead, catch! Now we will lick the spigots, but, by the mass, my house be full of Spanish cricket. Sirrah, dost thou not know Idleness, the counterfeit knave?
Yea, by St. Jane, I know him well for a knave. He hath his purse full of money, if we could him get.
Where had he it?
I tell thee, Snatch, he stole it from Wit.
Who told thee so? Declare it with readiness.
By the brains of a black pudding. 'Tis such a knave thou hast not heard. It was told of me of Wantonness.
And here they espy Idleness.
Oh, that drab, she can cackle like a caddo. I pray you behold, my masters. A man may shape none by their shadow.
Oh, wonderful! I would he were burst.
Nay, I pray thee, let me speak first. Master Idleness, I am glad to see you merry, heartily.
In faith, I thank you, but I had rather have your room as your company.
Ah, Master Idleness, how have you done in a long time?
Come, and hand of you to pick a purse of mine.
Nay, sir, I hope you trust us better. I must needs borrow your ring to seal a letter.
By my leave, in spite of my teeth, God a mercy, horse. This is that must needs be, quoth the good man, when he made his wife pin the basket. Patience perforce. Well, my masters, if you will go with me, I will carry you to an old wife that makes puddings of her arse. Hold your nose there. And if you will, you may have legs of mutton stuffed with hair.
This is a crafty fox. But by a herring toke, I have a good nose to be a poor man's sow. I can smell an apple 7 mile in a haymow. Ubi amius, ubi oculus, where he loves, there he looks. Hey, lively! These will help to bring me out of John Tapster's books. Now shall he find the purse. I think that may be a stage direction.
Yes,
Hereafter, they have scrambled for the money. They shall split in the person. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. So they find the purse. Hereafter, they've scrabbled for the money. They shall spit in the purse and give it to him again. Yeah.
Hold! Here, thou shalt not lose all. Thy purse shall not come home weeping for loss. And as for thee, thou shalt be comest to Dave's cross.
Evil gotten, worse spent. I theft this money came. I got it with the devil. And now it is gone with his name.
But, sirrah, if we let him escape, perhaps we may have a check. If we should chance to look through a hemp window, and our ass break our neck.
Why, we will pull him up by a rope to the top of the house, and then let him fall.
Nay, then, I know a better way. We'll run his arse against the wall.
Nay, by the mass, I have devised much more meat. Where I lay last night, I stole away a sheet. We will take this and tie it to his head, and so we will blind him. And, sirrah, I charge you, when you hear anybody coming, if they ask you any question, say you go a-mumming.
They turn him about and bind his hands behind him and tie the sheet about his face.
A mumming, quoth you? Why, there can be nothing worse than for a man to go a-mumming when he hath no money in his purse.
Well, yet we'll charge you to do on this fashion.
Farewell, Mr. Idleness, and remember your lesson.
Here they run to one corner of the stage and the other to the other and speak like countrymen to beguile him.
Ah, sirrah, faith, this gear cottons. I go still a-mumming, even poor I all alone, without other pipe or drumming.
Good day, neighbour, good day. It is a fair grey morning, God be blessed.
Aye, by Jace, 'twould be trim weather, and if it were not for this mist, what those fellows be all day at breakfast, I ween they make feasts. What, Jack, I say, I must hang before you will serve the beasts? How now? God's daggers, death, what have we here?
Oh, for the passion of God, loose me. False knaves have robbed me of all the money I got this year.
And here they beat him.
Yeah, you rascal, is the matter so plain? Come, we must teach him his lesson again.
Sirrah, now you have learned a trick for your coming. When anybody cometh, say you go a-mumming.
Exit, catch, and snatch and catch.
Mumming, quoth you. This gear will not settle. Either I rose on my left side today, or I pissed on a nettle. Here's news, quoth the fox, when he let a fart in the morning. If Wantonness knew this, she will never learn scorning. This same is kind cuckold's luck. These fellows have given me a dry pluck. Now I have never a cross to bless me. Now I go a-mumming, like a poor penniless spirit, without pipe or drumming.
And I'm just going to pause there because that's effectively the end of one comic set piece. I don't know if anyone saw my random reaction shot, which is why I missed the potential stage direction there. But when a clown on stage says, "God a mercy, horse," I'm thinking this is performed by Richard Tarleton. I don't...
It was a catchphrase of his, wasn't
Yeah.
it? From Tarleton's Jests.
And also without pipe or drumming as he exits.
Yeah. Good catch there, Robert.
Yeah, I was just randomly sort of trying to find some reference to whether that's a thing. But
I mean, if it was so popular a catchphrase of Tarleton's, it might be another clown referencing him. But yeah, I mean, this is a potential Tarleton part.
yeah, I mean, it's within his, remit before he ends up in the Queen's Men, 10 years before he dies, that thereabouts. Okay. I don't know if that helps anyone or anything. It's just that just leapt out at me and slightly distracted me. So yeah, this is sort of vices doing vices stuff to each other sequence. It's really a very isolated bit of comedy business. The kind of characters Catch and Snatch as cut purses and pick purses we've had in different plays. It's sort of set piece kind of comedy business. This reminds me a bit of buffeting material from mystery plays. There's nothing like some good physical violence with someone blindfolded and having that crap beaten out of him to get the audience in hysterics. Fascinating. Any thoughts?
I'm finding it very difficult to kind of pass comment on anything in this that doesn't compare it to the previous play that we did.
I will take the handcuffs off very soon. I assure you.
Other than yes, I kind of concur. It feels this feels like a sort of isolated bit of comedy business that actually I'd sort of forgotten that what we're really supposed to be following is the courtship of wit, essentially, because this has been kind of maneuvered in as a set piece. That's how it felt to me. Funny though it was.
Yeah, we have the setup, which is supposed to be wooing, and then he goes off and he gets distracted by Wantonness, and then this happens, and it's like actually the A plot hasn't started yet. It's been set up, but it's not actually happened, and that might continue. Who knows? We're nearly halfway through.
Again, that does actually feel slightly tying into the modern tradition of pantomime, where essentially the A plot is sort of your least important bit, Beauty meets the Beast, but actually the funny bits are people throwing custard pies at one another and pulling people out of the audience. That it sort of feels very like that modern tradition of essentially the story is there to provide some tent pegs to hang shtick on.
It's a bit of a MacGuffin. Alan?
I must admit, it's reminding me of Frankie Howard and Up Pompeii, where the prologue took up at least 80% of the programme.
Well, at least the prologue in this was mercifully brief, but the comedy business is greatly expanded upon. Idleness, how are you finding the part yourself as a clown part, which it patently is, whichever clown it turns out to be?
I mean, I'm struggling a little bit because I'm just not familiar with the vocabulary and the references. There's kind of a lot of stuff that I think is going over my head. But he feels to me, and maybe that's just because that's how I'm playing him, as a very labored clown. He seems to be working a bit too hard, really.
Any other thoughts? Because we are midway through this scene. It's not over yet. Any thoughts before we crack to the end of the first half?
I'm just wondering, in fact, whether with the clown's speeches, there is an awful lot of physical business going on at the same time. And he's using the lines as a cue for extravagant gestures or dumb show or whatever, rather than it being a piece at speed.
Yeah, I mean, it's that relationship with the audience, with that opening speech from Idleness, of where going, actually, half of this is dependent on what you're doing with the crowd.
Yeah.
And how reactive, because if we are going with the Panto reference, that opening speech with Idleness is very much, stopping and going, well, come on. Is anyone out there? So let's try that again, because, there's a system here we have. I say, never mind. And that can dance around that text to some degree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish the scene. Idleness, having pulled off all the sheets and whatever that they've thrown over him and for his beating, as it were, may have done a little bit of a tune. Sing-song at the end of that speech might have been a song.
I think he may be still wearing the sheets.
I think he must be wearing the sheets because of
he's trying to get out.
Is he?
Trapped in the invisible box. Okay, let's find out, because there might be more clues about how the previous business functioned with what happens in the rest of the scenes. So, Idleness is alone on stage. Enter Wit and Honest Recreation awaiting on him.
Fie, what kind of life is this, to labour all in vain? To toil to get the thing the which my wit cannot attain? The journey seemeth wondrous long, the which I have to make, to tear myself and beat my brains and all for wisdom's sake. And yet, God knows what may befall and what luck God will send, if she will love me when I come at this my journey's end. This honest recreation delights me not at all, for when I spend the time with him, I bring myself in thrall.
And here he steppeth back, having espied Idleness.
But soft, what have we here? Some ghost or deadly spirit that comes our journey for to stay, and us for to affright?
Yea, by the mass! Why are you coming? In faith, I am a penniless spirit. I go still a-mumming.
I conjure thee to tell me what art thou? A man, a monster, a spirit, or what wouldst thou have?
I am neither man, monster, nor spirit, but a poor penniless knave.
Wherefore is thy coming?
Marry, to go a-mumming.
Yea, but what art thou? May not that be known?
Why, what am I but a knave when all my money is gone?
Come, tell me thy name. I pray thee have done.
A good honest knaves, have ye forgot so soon?
Why? But will ye not tell me how thou earnest thus dressed?
In faith, gentle thieves, you yourselves know best.
Do I? Why, thou dost not know me, the whoresome patch.
Yes, I know it is either snatch or catch. But in faith, gentle thieves, I go still a-mumming, although it be either without pipe or drumming.
And here shall Wit put off the sheet, no longer doing the ghost impression, saying,
How sayest thou now? Canst thou not see? I pray thee tell me, dost thou know me?
Oh, thou body of a gorge! I would I had them here, if faith I would chop them, they were not so hack this 7 year. Why, I am so cold that my teeth chatter in my head. I have stood here 3 days and 3 nights without either meat or bread.
I pray thee, what is thy name, and whither dost thou resort?
Forsooth, for want of a better, it is do disport.
Didst not thee call thyself honest recreation, which deceived me once?
Why, I am a physician. If I were a knave, shake my bones. I am a great traveller. I light on the dunghill like a puttock. Nay, take me with a lie and cut out the brain of my buttock.
If thy name be Jude Disport, I would be acquainted with thee, for in sport I delight.
Not under a couple of capons, and they must be white. But if you will be acquainted with me, as you say, then must you send this companion away, for you and I must walk alone.
Why then, sirrah, away, get you gone.
So at this point, exit the silent figure of poor honest recreation. Sad face.
Oh, now come on with me to a friend's house of mine, that there we may do some sport.
Come on then.
Here Idleness, having brought him to the den of Irksomeness, shall leap away, and Irksomeness enter like a monster, and shall beat down Wit with his club, saying,
What wight is that which comes so near his pain?
And here they fight. Wit falls down.
Alas, now am I stunned.
Nay, no force, thou mightest have further stood. If thou had scaped safe by any den, thy luck were too good.
And exit. Irksomeness leaveth him dead on the stage. Poor Wit. Enter Wisdom.
Later born, I heard report that wit makes many vows. The Lady Wisdom, if you made to wife or to espouse. But if I fear both idleness and irksomeness will thunder, strife, this same is wit, that lieth even yonder.
Here she helpeth him up.
What wit? Be of good cheer, and now I will sustain thee.
O Lady Wisdom, so I would, but irksomeness hath slain me.
Well, yet arise, and do as I shall tell, and then I warn thee, thou shalt do well.
I thank you much, and though that I am very much aggrieved, yet since your coming, sure methinks I am right well relieved. You show your courtesy herein, wherein I partly guess that you do know the cause right well of this my deep distress. My father bade me labour still your favour to obtain. Cut it before I could you see, full great hath been my pain. First idleness, he brought me woe, then wantonness stepped in, and last of all foul irksomeness, his part he doth begin.
I think right well, for many a one hath come to sore decay, when as it hath, that earth with irksomeness hath met him in the way. For I, poor wisdom, here am placed among these craggy cliffs, and he that seeks to win my love must venture many shifts. But it I bear thee through great goodwill, and here I promise thee, if thou canst irksomeness destroy, thy lady I will be. And to the end that may be done, which I might well afford, hold dear perseverance, I say, a good and lucky sword, and call for irksomeness, and let him feel thy force. Be stout, for if he overcome, he will have no remorse.
Sorry, booted me out. My madam dear, behold the wight which fears not for thy love, to fight with men and monsters both, as straight I shall it prove.
Well, do so then, for whiles I will depart.
I thank you, Lady Wisdom, much. Farewell with all my heart.
Exit wisdom, wit calleth forth irksomeness.
Well, once more have at irksomeness. Come forth, thou monster fell. I hope yet now the second time thy pride and force to quell.
Enter irksomeness.
What? Who is it that calls me forth? What? Art thou yet alive? If that I catch thee once again, thou shalt no more revive.
Leave off thy brags, and do thy worst. Thy words may not prevail at first.
And here they fight a while, and irksomeness run in a'doors, and wit shall follow, taking his visor off his head, and shall bring it in upon his sword, saying,
The Lord be thanketh for his grace, this monster is subdued. And I, which erst was worn with woe, am now with joy renewed. Well, now before that I unto Dame Wisdom's house repair, I will unto my father go, these news for to declare.
And thus ends the first act. And by and large, though with some, there are some overlaps, that sort of covers pretty much most of what we've looked at before with Play of Wit and Science. We have the sort of this entire narrative has been condensed down. So I will take the gloves off those who have been to the previous play and allow comment here, because I think the second half is quite fundamentally different. It's really interesting that this narrative has presented. You know, in theory, the whole thing always was a journey of going out and fighting irksomeness from the beginning. That was the task, that was the challenge, that was the quest that Wit was supposed to be doing, and then would win the love of Wisdom, but or the Wisdom equivalent. In this, it's very much she appears when he's at his lowest ebb and gives him the sword that will save him, and he goes off and kills the irksomeness monster, which is. We talked about pantomime earlier, but it really would make quite a good panto, this. there's so much good material, and it functions in such the same way, but with a wafer thin plot. But that's fine. So who wants to jump in? Wave at me. I think I saw Liza, but I could be wrong. Anyone else want to go in first? Someone leap in with the first half of the play. Go on, Alex. Save me.
Yeah, just on my reading of it, and I would have to go and read over the other script that we did. It just seems less involved, and it seems less involved and therefore maybe more direct. That whole shtick that went on for pages with the characters in the other one of the graffitiing his face and the call and response routine that sort of extended over pages,
which isn't here at all.
Which isn't here at all.
You never meet that character. There's a whole bit of comedy business in the original, which is completely cut.
Which has been utterly excised, and in some ways I think it makes it more direct and less obscure, but the sort of trade-off for that is that, to me, some of the richness of this has kind of been removed, and it sort of almost feels like point A and point Z of the plot, with this other sort of bit of shtick dumped in the middle, which funny though it is, it just doesn't feel as organically flowing as the other one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the beats sorry, Alex.
No, carry on.
The little interludes go faster and are more pacey, but the question of what we're going to do for the entire second half of the play, they've sort of manufactured another delay with those last two lines. Well, now before that I unto Dame Wisdom's house repair, I will unto my father go these news for to declare. And it sets up another journey on which he can be waylaid and delayed, and it might be one of these sort of seasickness things where you're going one way and then you get dragged off the other way, and then you're going one way and then you get dragged off the other way, and being on a rocking chair helps you illustrate this really well.
For those in the room who, probably feel very excluded here in all this discussion of some other thing that you haven't seen, it's how are you finding it overall as an entertainment? I think we'll call it an entertainment. Anyone confused by what's going on? Anyone? Any comments and thoughts? Leap in, Alan. I see a hand.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly moving at a pace. There's certainly a lot that could be done with it. I have a funny feeling we did something very similar for podcast purposes a year or so back. It may just be character names coming up again.
Honest Recreation seems awfully familiar. I'm sure we've got an Honest Recreation somewhere.
And I'm sure we've had Idleness and coming up before.
I suspect many times, yeah. Yes, it is riffing on all those morality play traditions. I mean, it's 1575. It's very late in the day for this kind of play to still be happening, and it will still be happening in all around. They're only just starting to expand the size of companies and build bigger theatres and stuff. So this is very much a living tradition, even if it's about to die a horrible death. Aliki.
Just because we were talking about character names, what would you say Irksomeness was as a modern concept?
Annoying bastard.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Burnout.
Burnout, I like. Yeah.
Because in the previous play, he was the same monster was named Tediousness.
Mm.
Right.
So he was all about, being engaged and focusing on your studies, and it was all that sort of activity. So the idea he has to fight tediousness to get through to the other side of learning and diligence and stuff. So it sort of had a purpose, whereas here it doesn't. It's just a sort of random beware the Jabberwocky kind of thing. It has a hunting the snark feel to it. Helen.
You've suddenly made total sense of it to me. I mean, if the guy is doing his PhD, then tediousness and irksomeness and idleness are serious problems.
Yes, you could see this whole thing as an allegory for a PhD.
The thing that leapt out at me was that Catch and Snatch are really nasty people.
Oh, yeah. You know, they are your professional thieves.
Full time. Also, I mean, it's a nasty thing. They wrap him in the sheet so that he can't see. They tie him up so he can't get rid of the sheet. And then they say to him, if anybody asks you, you won't say you've been robbed, you'll say you're going a mumming. So they then come back to him in disguise. He says, I've been robbed. And so they beat him up again. You know, they're good at this.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. He's still under the sheet. He looks like a ghost. And you know, that was so pantomimey, just going ooh. It was wonderful.
It's either pantomime or Scooby-Doo.
Well, yeah. Would have got away with it if it wasn't for those pesky Catch and Snatch.
I mean, even the names Catch and Snatch, you could totally put them in a panto and have them called Catch and Snatch. And I love tediousness. More than irksomeness is the idea for a pantomime monster. It's just the idea of being, I mean, that takes me back to Up Pompeii as well, that you'd call him tedious and kind of give him a Roman sounding name. But I think there's so many elements there that would actually work really well to underpin a modern, quirky pantomime.
Yeah, that you could literally be bored to death.
Yeah. Yeah, the way you act the fight is like you just go yeah, there's an Armando Iannucci sketch all about someone who's literally dying of boredom. It has to be constantly stimulated with new things, otherwise he hemorrhages. It's quite grim, actually. Anyway, we need to rattle on. So we go into the second act with some pace. So we've all gone and had our ice creams and got some sweeties. And enter Idleness, halting with a stilt, and shall carry a cloth upon a staff like a rat catcher.
Have you any rats or mice, polecats or weasels? Or is there any old sows sick of the measles? I can destroy fulmars and cat moles. I have ratsbane maidens to spoil all the vermin that run in your halls. A rat catcher, quoth you, this is a strange occupation. But everywhere for idleness they make proclamation. They say he will be hanged for cozening of wit. But there's a town called Hopshort. They have me not yet. I can go hard by their noses and never be known, like a rat catcher. Till search be gone.
And here he spieth Search coming in and goeth up and down, saying, have you any rats and mice, as in the first 5 lines. So Idleness extemporise on the theme
Any rats or mice, I can catch your rats and kill your mice. Anyone got a pest problem?
Here is a moiling. They would have a man do more than he is able. One were better to be hanged than to be a constable. I have searched for a knave called Idleness, but I cannot find him for all my business. The knave, they say, has cozened wit and shored him on the shelf.
Yea, if you take not heed, he will go nigh to cozen yourself.
What? Dost thou know him, good fellow? I pray thee now tell.
Do I know? Why, I tell thee I have ratsbane to sell.
Ratsbane, tut a point. Dost thou know Idleness? Tell me.
Why, I tell thee I know him as well as he knows me. I ween he be a tall man, and I trow he struts, and he be not a knave. I would he had a pound of ratsbane in his guts.
Yea, but where is he? Canst thou tell?
No, faith, I'm not well.
Yea, but methinks thou art lame.
Yea, you may see such luck have they which use game. I have been at St. Quintin's, where I was twice killed. I have been at Musselburgh, at the Scottish field. I have been in the land of green ginger and many a where I have been shot through both the buttocks by an arquebusier. But now I am old, and have not myself to defend. I am fain to be a rat catcher to my end.
Here shall Search take out a piece of paper and look on it.
What shall I give thee to cry a proclamation?
For half a score pots of beer, I will cry it after the best fashion.
Here shall Search reach a chair, and Idleness shall go up and make the proclamation.
Come, Get up here. You must say as I say.
Oh, and you say I am a knave, then I must needs say nay.
First cry oyez a good while.
Very well.
And he cries too long. So as long as an oyez as you can make it, please. Which completely destroys the sound principle that Zoom functions on. But it was lovely. Anyway, gag understood.
Enough. What, hast thou never done?
What, didst not bid me cry long? I have not scarce begun.
Go to. Cry shorter, with a vengeance.
Yes, and the stage direction again says very often, so repeatedly saying oyez.
What? I think thou art mad.
Why, would you not have me do as you bade?
Why canst thou keep no mean?
Oyez!
Here he shall cry well.
That is very well said.
That is very well said.
What? I ween thou be'st drunk today?
Why did you not bid me say as you did say?
Come, say, 1, the King's most royal majesty.
John King gave her oil to lie with Marjorie.
Why, what said I?
Why so?
I say the King's most royal majesty.
The King's most royal majesty.
Doth charge you, all his true people.
What? It's not so.
What?
You say there was a barge flew over a steeple.
I say doth charge all his true people.
Oh, doth charge all his true people. That's another matter.
That they watch elsewhere and see in the town.
That every patch that a man wears on his knee shall cost a crown.
Why, what means that? I spake no such word. That they watch elsewhere and see in each town.
That they watch elsewhere and see in each town.
If that idleness by any means they can find.
No, Mary, you say not true.
What is that?
It is not for idleness that men sow beans in the wind.
If that by idleness by any means they can find.
And it pulls him down as stage direction I've got there.
If that idleness by any means
Come
they can...
down with a pestilence, and your ain ride thee.
Here is good thanks, my masters. Come, give me my fee.
Come, give me 6pence, and I will give thee 8pence.
Now shall Search run away with his money, and he shall cast away his stilt and run after him. I wasn't gonna pause there, but that's a lovely bit of business. We've had this game before several times, so it's the repeat after me game. Is very lightly played. We've had that several times, but then also the repeat and getting it wrong deliberately game we've had several times. I think again this is more an outline blueprint, which you expect them to play around and do much more with. But idleness coming on, calling, any old dead cats. Do you want dead cats? I can kill anything. If you would like to organise a backstreet abortion, then I also have stuff that will do that. It's fascinating. It's pure panto.
So I guess I'm the poisons man, is what he's saying.
That's your disguise, yeah. Any quick thoughts before we move forward? Anyone want to jump in? Oh, cool. Okay, we go into the next scene, and we get to meet Fancy before Wit reappears.
Like as the rolling stone we see doth never gather moss, and gold with other metals mixed must needs be full of dross, so likewise I, which commonly Dame Fancy have to name, amongst the wise am hated much, and suffer mickle blame, because that waving here and there I never steadfast stand, whereby by depth of learning's lore I cannot understand, but wit. perhaps, will me embrace as I will use the matter, for why? I mean to counterfeit and smoothly for the flutter, and say I am a messenger from Lady Wisdom sent, to see if that will be a mean to bring him to my bend. But see where he doth come.
Enter Wit.
Like as the silly mariner amidst the waving sea doth climb the top of mighty mast full oft, both night and day. But yet, at last, when happily he come from ship to shore, he seeks to sail again as fresh as erst he did before. So likewise I, which have escaped the brunts which I have done, am even as fresh to venture now as when I first begun. A new adventure, this I seek, not having run my race. But who is this whom I behold for to appear in place?
God save you, gentle Mr. Wit, and send you good success.
Fair dame, I thank you heartily, and wish in you no less. What, may one be bold to ask your name without offence?
Yes, sir, with good will, that you may, and eke my whole pretence, my name is Fancy, and the cause of this my coming now from Lady Wisdom is to show a message unto you.
Then are ye welcome unto me for Lady Wisdom's sake.
Here is the letter which she bade me unto you take.
Here he receiveth the letter and readeth it to himself.
My lady's will herein is this, that you should go with me unto a place with her to meet, as here she doth decree.
Even so, good sir, even when you will I do the same allow, go you before in at the door, and I will follow you.
Here Wit going in, and one shall pull him by the arm, whereupon he shall cry on this manner.
Alas, I am betrayed! This sight makes me aghast.
Nay, nay, no force, sir. I charge you hold him fast. Now, Wit, if that thou list to match thyself with me, thou shalt be free as ere thou wast, and now released be.
Alas, I am not so. Dame Wisdom hath my heart.
Then shalt thou lie there still, I wist, until thou feelst the smart.
I'm going to pause briefly here to ask, what precisely is happening here? I think I know what's happening here, but would anyone else like to articulate what's happening here?
I think the letters are fake.
Yes. Yes.
And he is being drawn in to
Yeah.
something nefarious.
It's an allegory of how Fancy traps Wit and holds him and prevents him from going on to better things.
Yeah, but it's this sight makes me a guy. It's what has he seen? And there's so many questions.
I assumed it was lewd women.
I was assuming that as well. But
It's possible, but it's also possible we've got a costume reveal that Fancy takes off Wisdom's livery and is wearing something decidedly scantier under it.
Ooh.
Yes, okay, yeah. Alan, I see a hand.
Bad women are definitely featuring here, yeah.
I must admit, I was trying to work out what that stage direction was saying, and I think it's maybe a tavern door, and he's being pulled in by the barmaid or whatever.
Well, yeah, barmaid. Yes.
Or landlord.
One shall pull him by the arm, where it's just like. Yeah, fascinating. And then we have breaking up material here. I think additional clues will appear in a moment, but we have between this and the next scene, we have essentially have in front of the tabs stand-up routine from Idleness. So enter Idleness.
This is a world to see how fortune changeth. This shall be his luck, which like me rangeth and rangeth. For the honour of artle brattle, this age would make me swear madly. Give me 1 penny or halfpenny, for a poor man hath great loss by sea and is in great misery. God save my good master and my good dame and all the householder. I pray you bestow your alms of a poor man nigh starved with cold. Now I am a bold beggar, I tell you, the stoutest of all my kin. For if nobody will come out, I will be so bold to go in. Fair lady! There's nobody within but the cat by the fireside. I must needs go in. Whatsoever comes of it, I cannot abide.
So Idleness, in his new disguise, a man of 1,000 faces, he goeth in and bringeth out the porridge pot about his neck.
Ah, sirrah, my masters, how sayest thou, Hodge? What, art thou hungry? Will you eat my podge? Now provide for a dear year, this will be good in Lent. Well, fare a good mess of pottage when the herrings be spent. A beggar, quoth you? This gear begins to fadge. If ever I be a gentleman, the pottage pot shall be my badge. Now I am in that taking, I dare not show my head, and all by cousining of wit, I am fain to beg my bread. Well, good masters, fare you well. I may perhaps have a check, if the good wife come forth and take the pottage pot about my neck.
And exit Idleness. Now we have the entrance of Doll and Lob.
Oh, the passion of God! So I shall be swinged, so my bones shall be banged. The porridge pot is stolen. What lob, I say, come away and be hanged. What lob, I say, come away with foul evil.
What a lobbing makes thou with a 20 devil?
Thou hast kept goodly coil, thou whoreson hobbling John. Thou keep'st a tumbling of me in the barn till the porridge pot is gone.
Nay, thou tumblest down thyself, and was almost bare. Nay, I will tell my dame how thou wouldst needs feel my wear.
Thou liest, whoreson! Thou wilt be cudgelled, so thou wilt.
Nay, good doll, say thee, the porridge were all spilt.
Here entereth Mother B with a stick in her hand.
What, where be these whore cops? I promise you, you keep a goodly coil. I serve the hogs, I seek hen's nest, I moil and toil. Thanks be to God, gentlewoman, between Jack and Joan, when I come in to breakfast, all the pottage is gone. I pray you, mistress, where is the pottage pot? Is that hid away?
While Lob was kissing me in the barn, a knave stole it away.
Yea, God's bones, one can scarce go to pissing, but my man and my maid do straight fall to kissing.
And here she beateth them up and down the stage.
Are ye billing? What, my man Lob is become a jolly ruffler? You are billing you, I must be fain to be a snuffler.
Oh, dame, if you will beat me, I will tell you a tale, no more. When I was at town, one called you a whore.
Ah, whoreson, thou callest me whore by craft. Thou art a Kentish man, I trow.
My doll will not brand my breech. How would you have me go?
He lies, dame, he lies. He tears it neither with ploughing nor carting. For it is not so soon mended, but he tears it out with farting.
Enter Inquisition, bringing in Idleness with the pottage pot about his neck.
Soft, who have we here? I am as glad as one would give me a crown. What have I spied by a lady? My porridge pot is come to town.
I give a. Is anyone down as Inquisition? No one's going for it. Okay, what is this, your pottage pot? Do you know it if you see it?
Whether it be mine or no, he had it from my fireside. He cannot deny it.
And exit Mother B.
Oh, dame, so I will jerk him if I had my whip. Sirrah, doll, we will accuse him of fellowship.
Let me alone, and I will tell you who stole your eggs, and likewise who stole your cock with the yellow legs.
Well, we will have him to a justice. Dispatch, come away.
Yea, and let her be whipped up and down the town next market day.
Wow, we seem to have a mini, strange, slightly rewritten précis of Gamma Gurton's Needle. This is so weird. We've got a random mentioning of a Hodge for no readily apparent reason. We've got someone's trousers who's going to be ripped, admittedly by farting. We've got a mention of stealing of eggs from hens and yellow legs. Wow, that's really interesting. A mother figure. Yeah.
I find it astonishing how well drawn all these characters are who appear for 2 seconds and you never see them again.
Well, I'm assuming if they're also playing the other play, then they're just doing the other parts that they do in the repertoire. That's my headcanon. I don't know if it's true, but that's just what it feels like. It's like this is one of our most popular plays. Let's just do a 2-minute version of it, the best bits. I absolutely. What is Doll and Lob the servants of Mother B?
Yes.
Or because I was just wondering on the precise relationship with Mother B and relationship with Lob there.
Well, she's either a tavern keeper or a farmer, and I mean, they clearly seem to have an industrial size kitchen. I think they are her servants.
Yeah. It's just whether there was any, sense with Lob. It's just a lack of diligence to duty as opposed to you're ploughing the wrong furrow, my lad. Kind of thought.
Finar.
Alan, I see a hand.
I'm just wondering if this is now drama volume minus 300. It's a greatest hits compilation.
It does feel a bit like that.
And the other one that just came to mind, partly because of what we were doing last weekend. The mention of Hodge, who of course we had as the named clown figure in Cromwell play.
But I think that might be more of a stretch. But yeah, it might be that there is a thought there, because we've definitely got a Hodge in Gamma-Gurton's Needle. It just occurred to me there was a line about I think there was another line which is from another play from earlier about being if you're over pregnant you look a bit like a timpani, which I think is that Ralph Royster. There's another play that uses that line. I think that's just a generic joke. But if we're thinking of this as more of a mishmash. Maybe that's more deliberate than I thought.
I'm just wondering, in fact, we've had the two brokers' men in this Scanton, the two cut purses. I think in some other plays you have Hodge and Podge as the two villains.
Can't remember that one, but we can look that one up.
Sure, I've come across it somewhere.
Because Catch and Lob are down as the same person. Snatch is not helpfully doubled in that sense. So no, they're not obliquely playing the same sort of parts overtly in the doubling scheme. Okay. Any additional thoughts before we go into the final stretch? No. Okay. Well, that was a fascinating diversion. I enjoyed it. I don't know if anyone else did. Guy, you can scarce go to pissing. Someone else will fall to kissing. That's a t-shirt line. Okay. Fifth scene. Enter Nurture.
To them whose soldiers do support the charge of tender youth, when grief falls on another's neck, and youth will have his ruth. Since first I 'gan to nurture wit, full many cares have passed. But when he hath slain Irksomeness, I thought me safe at last. But now I see the very end of that my late distress is a beginning unto grief, which will be nothing less. For when I thought that wit of late to wisdom's house had gone, he came not there. God knows where this restless wit is run. Nay knows where I to seek him now, whereby I learn with pain there is no grief so far gone past, but may return again.
And here wit crieth out in prison.
A silly bird once caught in net, if she escapes alive, will come no more so nigh the snare her freedom to deprive. But rather she will leave her haunt, the which she used before. But I, alas, when steed is stolen, do shut the stable door. For being often caught before, yet could I not refrain. More foolish than the witless bird, I came to hand again. Alas, the chains oppressed me sore wherewith I now am lad. But yet the pain doth pinch me more, wherein my heart is clad. Almighty Jove, now grant that some good man may pass this place, by whose good help I might be brought out of this woeful case.
What noise is this? What piteous plaints are sounding in my ear? My heart doth give it thee. Its wit, the which I now do hear. I will draw near and see what wight art thou,
He cometh near the prison.
which dost lament and thus dost pine in pain.
My name is Wit. My grief is great. How should I then refrain?
What? Wit? How earnest thou here? God, what chance is this?
Dame Fancy brought me in this case. I know I did amiss.
What, Fancy? Where is she? Oh, that I once might catch her.
Would God you could, or else someone that able were to match her. But she no sooner heard your voice there standing at the door, than she with all her folks hath fled and will be seen no more. But I, poor soul, lie here in chains.
And here entereth and releaseth him good nurture.
I think that's Nurture's line.
Yes,
Once
that would
more,
make sense.
I have released thee of thy pains.
Your most unworthy scholar gives to you immortal thanks.
I pray you now take better heed, you play no more such pranks. Pluck up your spirits, your marriage day is come even at hand. Tomorrow wisdom shall you wed, I let you understand.
Right so, as you think, good I shall contented be.
Then let us go for to prepare. Come on, I say, with me.
They exit and then enter Idleness, and this I can assume is all spoken by Idleness. Enter Idleness, disguise number, 3? It's like a priest, everybody!
Ah, sirrah, my masters! There is much ado when fortune is lowering. Oh, the passion of God. I have escaped a scouring. Here hath been heave and shove. The skier is not fit. In faith, I have lie in the lurch for the cozening of wit. Now shall he be married in all the haste. When wit and wisdom is joined together, then I am rejected. Well, yet I can shift elsewhere, so long as I am not detected. Detected? I cannot well be, for I am of that condition that I can turn into all colors, like the chameleon. Although some do refuse me, and some leaden-keeled lubber will not refrain me. And when men hath done with me, women will retain me. Idleness, they say, is the mother of vice. Through idleness fell the Trojans, and the Greeks won the prize. Idleness breedeth evil thoughts, whereof come ill deeds. Idleness is a cockadill, and great mischief breeds. I give myself a good report, my masters. You may think the best. He that loveth me shall have small joy of his rest. King Amisu made a law and bound his subjects to it fast, to give an account whereupon they lived the year last past, and if any lived idly, without any regard, the punishment was grievous they did him award. But now I can escape from all such peril, and play the purveyor here on earth for the devil. Well, my masters, I must be gone, this marriage to see. They that list not to work, let them follow me.
And exit Idleness, presumably to help set up the closing scene. Enter Daddy's Severity and Wit.
Well now, Sunwit, the proof is plain, the clouds were ne'er so black, but the brightness of the sun at last might put them back. The wind did never blow so much, wherewith the bark was tore, but that the weather was so calm to bring the ship to shore. The danger now is past. Address thyself with speed, to meet with wisdom thy dear wife, as we before decreed.
It shall be done as duty binds, and as I bounden stand. But see, good father, now behold, Dame Wisdom is at hand.
Enter Good Nurture and Wisdom and Wit singeth this song. You can just say the lines one after the other. That'll be fine.
My joy hath overgrown my grief, my cure is past, for fortune hath been my relief, now at last. Tantara, tara, tantara, my husband is at hand, his comely course appears in place, as I do understand.
My lady, thrice welcome to me, mine only joy, the gentleness God give it thee, without annoy. Tara, 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 tantara. Welcome, my worthy wife. Thou art my part, thine is my heart, my blessed limb of life.
As duty doth bind according to kind, I thank ye much. Thy wife forth will spend her life, she will not grutch. Tantara, tara, tantara, the sum of all my bliss, the welcomest wight, my chief delight, that shall be and that is.
Let me thy comely corpse embrace, dear wisdom, now.
Good wit, I always loved the place to be with you. Tantara, tara, tantara, thou hast my heart in hold.
Nay, do I fain, but tell thee plain, I am thy own, behold.
And here endeth the song.
Well, now I am right glad to see you both well met.
And so am I, with all my heart, that they so sure are set.
We
Thank ye both right humbly, and wish to marry speedily.
For why, although the turtle long were parted from the maid,
Now God be thanked, they are met in good and happy state. The Lord be thanked for his grace, which gave thee unto me. Then welcome, nothing in heaven or earth more welcomer can be.
and you to me, dear mate.
Come now, the time requires that we depart away, to celebrate the nuptials with joy this wedding day.
Go you before, my father dear, and you, good master, straight. And then both I and wisdom too upon you will await. Go forth all.
And enter the epilogue. And I'll ask Helen, could you read the epilogue, please?
Sir, thus have you seen, good audience, and heard the course of youth, and whoso list to try the same shall find it for a truth. And if this simple show hath happened for to halt, your pardon and your patience we crave in our default. For though the style be rough and phrases found unfit, yet may you say upon the head the very nail is hit. Wherefore the moral mark, for finis let it pass, and wit may well and worthy then use it for a glass, whereby for to issue his foes that always do await him, and never hang upon the hook wherewith they seek to bait him. Thus, if you follow fast, you will be quit from thrall, and eke enjoy an heavenly bliss, which God grant us all.
Amen. And thus ends the play. And actually, we did considerably better time than I expected. And you could almost say that this final scene very much reconnects with the original text, where the play ends with the sing-song marriage bit at the end. I have been checking, searching through references. So people have picked up on the Gamma-Gurton's needle reference before, at least. Apparently, there's a bit of Cambyses we missed in there somewhere. And there's another play which only Alan and I have looked at, a fragmentary morality, Love Feigned and Unfeigned, but I have no memory of what that could be referring to. So it's interesting.
I've come across King Amasis.
I was
Amasis.
Yeah.
I've come across him somewhere. Haven't a clue where, but he's been in one of these plays.
Well, literally, or just mentioned in passing.
No, I think he had a line or two.
Well, maybe that was Cambyses then.
No, I didn't read Cambyses.
Ah.
It's one of these Turkish plays.
Ah, right. I will have a look and see, because there was a reference to where that might have actually lived. Yeah, I mean, it was cracking fun, I thought, on the whole. There's so much potential there. I'm really liking the fact that it feels like it's part of somebody's repertoire, or it's riffing off other plays in repertoire. I find that really interesting as an idea. Whether it's, accurate or a fair way of looking at it, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting that Irksomeness sort of devolves towards the end to just being the scene change fill. I mean, heaven help us. Is Idleness the priest for the marriage?
Well, that's what I was thinking he was going to be. I thought he was going to have to be unmasked in the marriage.
I mean, heaven help them all.
One note for your script, by the way, Robert. The final line before the entry of the epilogue is, I think that's the stage direction. Go forth all.
Yeah, because it's got a rhyme with wait, straight and wait, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Thank you. So yeah. Anyone want to dive in on some thoughts about the play overall? Bits you like, didn't like. What do you do with it? What do you do with a play like this?
I think I know you've muttered before about potentially putting together a clown show. I think someone's already done it for you.
Well, it does feel like that, doesn't it?
You know, it feels to me like this is the showcase. This is the testimonial night for the clown. Of let's put all his greatest hits in together with just enough material to make it semi-coherent as a piece. You know, so that you've got at least a vestige of a through line to it. But an awful lot of it is basically here's an outline of a scene, and what we've got is basically his cue script, which he would then play around with, interact with the audience, introduce business as the mood took him.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's, we talk about this being connected with this earlier play, and it's got lots of it, but the intention of the earlier play sort of got muddled, and then it is not as distinct and clear here, and it's just stuff is happening. It's something to hang the hat of the entertainment on, and I find that interesting that you could almost call these marriage plays almost like a genre in itself, of a sort of evolving form of drama, where because there's one in between. This is in the original we haven't done yet. This is version number 3, so it'd be quite interesting when we finally go back and look at version number 2 to see what's going on there. Did we find out precisely how he ended up in prison, or what precisely happened there with Fancy?
No, we haven't a clue whether it was illegal gambling or
well, he was
a drug den.
He was abducted off the street after the dialogue with Dame Fancy. And basically that's the point at which he's locked up.
Yeah, but who's locking? I mean, the way he's locked up, it looks like he's done something wrong, whereas Dame Fancy is the one doing something wrong. Did they get raided?
No, or imprisoned by her and her gang.
But then, how does the good person release it? He's very unclear. I've just got why, big word, why in my script.
Because.
Well, how would be even better than why?
Don't they say that when Fancy saw when Fancy heard the voice of good nurture, she fled with all her folk.
Yeah, the gang did a runner.
So he's not so much he's in a prison; he's just locked in the basement.
He's imprisoned. There is no necessary connection between prison and the authorities.
I think it's that.
It's a sex dungeon.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is a sex dungeon.
I was waiting for someone to come up with that, and I wasn't expecting it to be Helen.
For Helen.
He's certainly in chains. Metaphorical, the chains with which Fancy binds wit. Metaphorically.
It's Norman Lamont's old tenant.
That's old.
Yeah, sorry, Liza, continue.
Well, this ties into my general reservation with the second half of this play, which is, in the first half, Wit gets entrapped by various things, but then shows some self-improvement thanks to good nurture and overcomes the monster of Irksomeness. So Wit shows some character development in the first half that makes him more worthy of the marriage. In this half, Wit does basically nothing except get caught and get released. There's no there's no progress towards Parnassus or towards the marriage to wisdom, and yet wisdom seems perfectly happy to marry wit anyway. So
when it says he was already there, this is just a diversion, isn't it? He got a letter he thought was from her, went through a doorway, and was never seen again.
Well, for sure. But good nurture, like afterwards, he doesn't meet Fancy again and defeat her. There's no comeuppance for Fancy or for Idleness or for any of them, and you would expect some sort of morality play, like banishment of the evil spirits before wit was deemed worthy. I mean, maybe it's a little more realistic to say that Idleness and Fancy are always with us, but at the same time, and Idleness's last speech is really good, but you know, I would expect wit to be some consequences and some progress rather than just wit getting into a series of scrapes.
I mean, it is that thing that this is you know, from the 1570s. You know, they're not doing full on morality tales, and you know, it's been 40 years since the first iteration of this appeared, so you can sort of see the lack of interest perhaps in a paying audience. Valentina,
I just want to point out that he does say no to Fancy. That's why he's in prison. So it kind of doesn't give in, but gets trapped anyway.
And maybe he's like a beacon calling nurture to him to rescue him. It's like you know, he's learned, and you know, he will be saved, just not immediately. It's like the AA, you know, something like that. You know, once you've gone down the path of righteousness, you can phone that dedicated telephone number and be saved. Kind of thing. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent. Vicky.
May I ask, I don't know if I've just forgotten, but at the start of the play, he's been sent by his mother and father to go and woo Wisdom and therefore marry her. He doesn't meet her at all or do any wooing, and then at the end they get married?
They do meet. They do meet. She when he gets knocked down in battle with Irksomeness, she appears, picks him up and gives him a sword.
Oh, yes. But
Yeah.
that's it. That is the
That's
extent.
it.
Right. Good.
So you could argue she saves him rather than him, you know, it's not quite playing into that thing of, you know, being a shining knight and saving a terrified maiden. It's more the other way. She turns up and fits him out with all the tools, you know. You want a sword? I've got a sword. I've got the sword of perseverance. Will that do? Lovely. But yeah, maybe we're thinking too hard about this piece of entertainment, because it does seem to be deliberately playing with multiple texts. I mean, is the doll in-house connected with Fancy, or is it just across the street and is another establishment? Because is that just a thing, or is it vaguely connected with the action, or is it just thematic, or is it just because it's also a play advertising one of their other things in their repertoire? We also do plays a bit like this.
I think it's probably a sketch that has been done as a scene in something else. Oh, that worked quite nicely. It kept the groundings happy.
Well, it says it's
Chuck
Gamma
it
Gurton's
in.
needle in miniature, sans needle, but that's basically much of the action from that play. It's just not 2 hours long.
Yeah, I think it's an exercise in praising. A lot of this, you know, it's let's zip through it. I mean, I'm going to get the duck if I.
Yeah, then cease for the moment. I mean, it's interesting. They've taken another play. They've sort of whittled things out of it. They've taken possibly the funniest scene out of the original play, though it's a slightly problematic scene. So maybe they were feeling uncomfortable about it even then. It's still very funny.
Ignorancy?
Yeah.
Well, we get the call and response humor with Idleness's proclamation, don't we? We get the same...
No, it was a different gag. It's the teaching ignorancy its name.
Spell your name gag.
Yeah, which was, you know, excessively long but brilliant, brilliantly structured. It feels like this is maybe just for a, you know, it's slightly had its edges taken off, but it's still very entertaining. Yeah. It is a shame that we don't get some of those characters following through later on and stuff, but I don't care. I enjoyed it. Final thoughts around the room, then. Anyone who hasn't really stepped in and said anything. Let's Aliki.
I don't really feel I have much to say. I like the idea that it's to show off the clown. You know, you get the sense that this is somebody walking out in front of an audience that loves them, which is really hard to do at a screen. So that's kind of all I've got to say. I find it so incoherent and kind of unsatisfying as a morality play that I don't really know what else to say about it.
I genuinely don't I think it's a shadow of a morality play. I don't think it is anymore. I think it was once. It's now been whittled out to deliver gags, and I think that's the best thing you can do. Alex, I saw a hand. Final thoughts.
I have to agree with Aliki that morality play or not, I found it much less satisfying than the first iteration of this that we did, and I'd be interested to see the middle version, precisely because it felt like its problematic rough edges were sanded off, and also because, for all that I love the shtick, there was zero character development. And I know that that's a modern demand to kind of have that in a play, but I have seen that in other plays. The thing it reminded me most of, actually, and because you mentioned Jabberwocky, was Alice in Wonderland, someone blundering between corrupted iterations of different things and never quite really understanding where that was going. I mean, the whole thing that she's made to repeat all these long forgotten Victorian poems, and actually the thing that survived is, you know, nobody remembers the real old Father William. They only remember the sort of spoof pastiche of it that came after it. And that's sort of what reminds us. I have to say, I don't know what you would do with this today. It seems so dependent on a personality and on callbacks to shows that have long since been forgotten, that I would be tempted to take the shape of it and throw something else at it, but discard a lot of the material as a modern audience. Because I have to say, as a modern audience, I'd be sitting there going, hang on, this is about wit, but where have they gone, and why does this character keep talking at me, and what's happened to that character at the end? So yeah, I found it intriguing, but problematic in that I don't know what I do with it.
It's interesting. I didn't feel that myself at all. I was sort of quite interested in sort of ignoring where it came from, just saying that stuff's happening. Let's make each bit of stuff fun. And then treat it that way, and
which is sort of what happens in a panto. I mean, the Beauty and the Beast I did last year had a plate smashing scene that came out of nowhere, which people obviously enjoyed, but I think that comes from audience familiarity and kind of going, it's those two actors we know doing a thing that we saw 4 years ago. I don't know, talking as a modern audience, pretending I'm a modern producer, that you could put this in front of an audience and have them respond in the same way and go, Gamma Gurton's needle, unless
I don't think that matters. I think that was just for me. I think I'm pitching this in my head as that this is our panto. Okay. And we might do a different version of this play each year.
I mean, I think it would work brilliantly in the sense of a repertory, like they used to have the repertory pantomimes that you'd come back and see the actors who'd done Coward and Rattigan all year long, then burlesquing those roles. If you could put this into a repertory with, the first iteration of this and Gamma Gurton and other things, and see those people coming back and sort of sending themselves up, I think would be brilliant. I think
Pamela, final thought.
I actually really enjoyed it. I don't know the first iteration at all, so I have nothing to compare it to. And I guess it maybe is on that panto thing. Like, it's just a lot of fun, isn't it? And just craziness. And as an actor, I think even though you don't have a huge journey, you could still really enjoy doing this show.
Elizabeth, final thought from you.
I thought it was really well paced. I think Wit holds it together. I think the whole of the play hands on Wit's shoulders. And every time he's not there, the play kind of starts to fall apart, and then he comes back and then he holds it together. So I think there is a through line for this play that works, and it's Wit, the character. I also thought it was interesting, Robert, that we didn't have Indulgence again at the end, just Severity.
Yes, I'm assuming that's doubling. Yeah, because Indulgence, he's effectively marrying his mother in doubling terms. So nothing Freudian there. According to the doubling sheet, it may not be accurate, of course. Vicky, final thought?
I think I'm sort of stuck somewhere between Pamela and Alex. Like, I think it would be great fun, and I love so many of the characters who come in and just, like Liza said earlier, they're so well rounded. You see them for like 2 minutes, and yet you have a full idea of this person's life and everything they do. But then I also get that if I went to the theatre to see it, and these random people pop in for 2 seconds and then just kind of disappear on me, and the main story that nothing kind of wit doesn't really overcome a lot of things, that might bother me a little. But if you take it just at the kind of canto value, and there are plenty of kind of double meaning and jokes that have their like sort of dirty underside that is not specifically spelt out, then I think it would be quite fun to play with.
I mean,
not meaning a double meaning there at all.
Yeah, it's interesting, because the play is not very long. I mean, that's the other thing. We squeezed it into one session. Actually, I forced the pace a bit too hard, actually. And assuming that there are some cuts, but also that we can ad-lib. I think that there's a lot of bridging over one or two of the problems by openly acknowledging, you will never see me again. Bye. I have nothing to do with the plot.
Hello, here's my gag. It's a bit dirty. Have a laugh. I'm off. Bye.
But maybe not that far. But it's the nature of the clowns in it do allow for that sort of license, I think, to have fun. Helen, final thought.
Yeah, it isn't a play. It's an entertainment with a lot of flatulence-based jokes. And as such, it's good.
Yes. As a tragedy, it's rubbish.
Yeah, if you're looking for a play, go elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there was this story Ned Sheeran used to tell about 2 punters coming out of Tamburlaine at the National, and one turning to the other and saying, it wasn't much of a show, more of a play.
Alan, any final thought from you?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of thoughts have just occurred to me. I think we've come across we did some work on something called Respublica.
Yes, we did, and we will be coming to that in the reading at some point.
Because some of the character types of it. The other thought of what this actually resembles in some ways is the Secret Policeman's Ball. It's a compilation of the best comedy moments. And I think it works as an entertainment. And the analysis we had earlier, well, where's the plot going? Well, if you did that with a panto script, I think you'd probably be receiving attention from parts of the medical service.
Valentina, have I come to you for a final thought? No. Regale us.
There you go. I don't have much to compare it with, but I really enjoy it. I don't know if it is because I tend to enjoy silly humor and I like panto, but yeah, it was really fun to read as well. And there's so much like lazy and comical, like physical stuff that you can do with it. It's amazing.
And I think that leaves Liza to close. Still muted.
Well, just that, when does we've been saying, is this a morality play or is it an entertainment? And at what point does it become an immorality play? At what point does it become, hey, you can leave your parents' house and commit sins all over the place and still achieve the prize, So, yeah, that's an interesting one to think about. Especially as idleness is not punished or defeated. I mean, various terrible things happen to idleness, but there's no final defeat. would this play make the world a better place? Who knows? Would you do it for school children? Would you? Who knows?
Well, that's one of the putative suggestions, and I'm actually leaning against that actually at the moment, in the sense of where does this script end up, and where is it going, and who's it for, and who's making it is really an interesting series of questions. I'm really interested with. It's a really interesting time, the 1560s, 70s. We don't actually have a vast number of scripts, but the scripts we do have, a lot of them are doing some really what seem to be experimental stuff. They seem to be a lot more weird, and deliberately weird rather than just not very good. They're doing some very odd things with older forms, some of which are looking forward to the future, some of which seem to be blind alleys that literally go nowhere. And I find this really, really interesting and really fun. I mean, I think between the three marriage plays that we have, there are iterations of an entertainment that we could, 6 actors, we could, that's scalable. That's doable, and it might be a case that over a number of years, you come up with our favourite version of this based on the 3 different versions, which has got the best and funniest scenes. Those who are with us for the play of All Wit and Science, there's one scene in that we really, really like and would probably like to put in this. It's that question of balancing entertainment with plot, which raises all sorts of interesting questions. And I'm going to go away now and have a little rummage to see if I'm assuming somebody else has noticed the Dartmouth connection before, whether it's illusionary or not. Let's go and have a little hunt about that. Unless anyone has any burning thoughts they want to throw in, final thoughts, I'm going to close this session thanking everyone for powering through the marriage of wit and wisdom, and on the whole, good fun. Bye.
Bye.